Behind every locked door lies a story the world was never meant to hear. Welcome to Behind Bars TV, where we uncover the hidden realities of the world's toughest prisons, untold inmate experiences, and the systems built to contain them. From supermax facilities to forgotten penitentiaries, we reveal the truth behind concrete walls and razor wire. This is not fiction. This is the world behind bars. 800 acres of concrete, surrounded by water and silence. Just 8 miles from Times Square, and yet it feels like another planet. Welcome to Rikers Island, the most violent jail complex in the United States. A place meant to hold the accused, not the convicted. But for thousands trapped here, it's already a life sentence. Every year, over 100,000 people pass through its gates. Many stay only days. Some never make it out alive. This is the story of how America's most infamous jail became its most dangerous, and why no one seems able to shut it down. The Island of the Forgotten. Rikers wasn't always a jail. It began as a small island purchased by a Dutch settler named Abraham Rikers in 1664. For centuries it was farmland, until New York City turned it into a dumping ground. By the early 1900s, the city needed space for a new jail. In 1932, they chose Rikers Island, out of sight, out of mind. New York built a city of cages just beyond the skyline of freedom. At first, Rikers was meant for 1,200 people. Today, more than 10,000 pass through its complex every day. 9 jails, 20 miles of fencing, endless suffering, the culture of chaos. Rikers isn't like any other jail. It's not a prison. It's a temporary holding center for people awaiting trial. But what happens when temporary lasts years? At Rikers, time doesn't pass. It circles, like the blades of a fan that never stops spinning. Overcrowding turns every day into survival. There's no separation between gang members, the mentally ill, or first-time offenders. Everyone bleeds the same. The guards are outnumbered. The rules are broken. And violence isn't an exception, it's the schedule. In 2014, the Department of Justice called Rikers a culture of violence. They were wrong about one thing. It wasn't culture, it was currency. The code of power. Inside Rikers, power is divided between two forces: the Department of Correction officers and the inmates themselves. Each runs its own empire. The guards have the keys, but the gangs have the control. Gangs enforce their own order through violence, debt, and fear. If you're new, you either join or you hide. If you're weak, you become property. The first rule of Rikers: choose your side before someone chooses it for you. Even some officers join the trade, smuggling contraband, selling protection, and playing both sides for profit. Here, corruption isn't an accident, it's adaptation. Violence as routine. At Rikers, violence isn't a headline, it's a schedule. Every morning starts with roll call, ends with lockdown, and somewhere in between someone bleeds. If you survive a day at Rikers, you've earned it. Rikers has averaged more than 1,500 violent incidents a year. Stabbings, slashings, gang fights, and beatings by guards. Some inmates call it the cycle. Morning, fight. Noon, medical. Night, revenge. Fear becomes habit. The strong prey on the weak, and the weak learn to disappear. No one wins at Rikers. You just survive longer than the next man. The beating rooms. Whispered about the program. Unofficial punishment chambers run by rogue officers. There's no paperwork in the program. Only blood. Multiple lawsuits describe the same ritual. Handcuffed prisoners dragged into empty rooms. Beaten until unconscious. Then charged with assaulting an officer. At Rikers, even the truth wears bruises. The Department of Justice called it systemic brutality. Advocates called it torture. Guards called it Tuesday. Kalief Browder, the boy who never came home. No story defines Rikers Island more than Kalief Browder's. A teenager accused of stealing a backpack, a crime he never committed. He couldn't afford bail, $3,000. So he was sent to Rikers. He spent 3 years there, 2 of them in solitary confinement. Guards beat him. Inmates jumped him. He tried to take his life several times. When the case was finally dismissed, Kalief came home, but never truly left Rikers. In 2015, he hung himself in his mother's home. Kalief Browder didn't die at Rikers. He just didn't survive it. His death forced a nation to look, and for the first time, to question why Rikers still exists. The madness within. At least 40% of Rikers inmates have diagnosed mental illnesses. Most receive little to no treatment. Rikers isn't a jail. It's the largest psychiatric ward in America, run by guards, not doctors. Many are jailed not for violence, but for homelessness, addiction, or untreated trauma. They need therapy. They get tear gas. At Rikers, madness isn't a symptom, it's contagious. The price of survival. Nothing inside Rikers is free, not food, not favors, not protection. Everything has a price. If you can't pay, you pray. Contraband flows like water, smuggled in by corrupt officers, sold by gang leaders, and taxed by power brokers. You don't survive Rikers with muscles. You survive it with connections. Money orders exchanged through families on visiting day. Even time has a price. If you want peace, you pay in silence. The officers' war. Rikers breaks its officers too. Many come in young, hoping to serve. Most leave traumatized, angry, or charged with brutality. You can't guard hell without burning in it. Long shifts, understaffing, constant danger. They become part of the same machine. Some protect inmates. Others join the violence. At Rikers, the line between guard and prisoner fades. Both are trapped, both are afraid. The riot that changed everything. In September 2021, Rikers imploded. COVID, corruption, and chaos collided. Officers stopped showing up for work. Garbage piled up. Inmates ran the tears. For a moment, Rikers became what it truly was. A city without control. Advocates demanded closure. Politicians promised reform. The mayor vowed to shut Rikers down by 2027. But inside, nothing changed. The walls stayed up. The violence stayed in. And the city looked away. The box. Inmates call it the box. A 6 by 9 foot concrete cage designed for punishment. And sometimes for breaking the mind. At Rikers, solitary confinement isn't a last resort. It's policy. Inmates spend up to 23 hours a day inside. Some for fighting. Some for disobedience. Some for talking back. The walls get smaller every day, until they start closing inside your head. A psychologist noting symptoms, hallucinations, panic, rage. Solitary confinement was outlawed for juveniles after Kalief Browder's death. But reports show it still happens, under new names, new paperwork. They changed the label, not the lock. The black market. Everything in Rikers has a price. Phones sell for $1,000. Drugs triple the street rate. Even clean water, if you know who to ask. The guards bring it in. The inmates keep it running. Investigations found entire smuggling rings among officers. One was caught with 100 cell phones and $50,000 in cash. At Rikers, the system isn't broken. It's for sale. The whistleblowers, a handful of correction officers, tried to expose what was happening inside. They spoke of beatings, illegal trades, and staged cover-ups. The truth is a dangerous job on Rikers Island. Several whistleblowers were reassigned, harassed, or fired. One received death threats. Another disappeared quietly from a force. Rikers doesn't need walls to silence people. It just needs fear. The women of Rikers. Rikers isn't just men. The women's facility, known as Rosie's, holds hundreds of mothers, daughters, and survivors. Many victims long before they became defendants. They came seeking justice and found another kind of violence. Investigations revealed multiple cases of rape and coercion. Few resulted in convictions. When the guards are the predators, who do you report to? The children of the island. Until 2018, New York locked up minors as young as 16 years old in Rikers, many for nonviolent crimes. Children grew up learning that pain was routine. The raise the age law finally removed juveniles. But the damage was done. You can take the kids out of Rikers, but you can't take Rikers out of the kids. The death toll. In 2022 alone, 19 people died inside Rikers, from suicide, overdose, neglect, or violence. Some were awaiting trial for petty charges. They were innocent until proven guilty, and dead before proven anything. Each death sparked outrage. Each investigation ended in silence. The system doesn't bury mistakes. It buries people. The politics of pain. Every mayor promises to fix Rikers. Every administration leaves it worse. Rikers doesn't survive because it works. It survives because it's convenient. The Correction Officers Union, one of New York's most powerful, fights every reform. It's politics over humanity. In New York, votes are counted faster than lives. The push to close the island. The city has promised to close Rikers, to replace it with smaller, borough-based jails. But deadlines keep shifting. They built a plan. Then they built excuses. Construction delays, lawsuits, and political infighting stall progress. Meanwhile, people keep dying inside the place everyone agrees should not exist. Every day Rikers stays open. Another life pays the rent. The city's mirror. Rikers isn't separate from New York. It's the reflection of its worst contradictions. Wealth beside poverty, justice beside cruelty. You can see the Statue of Liberty from Rikers Island. She just never looks back. For decades, Rikers absorbed what society didn't want to see. The poor, the addicted, the forgotten. It became the price of pretending justice was equal. The end of the island. One day, the gates of Rikers will close. The buses will stop running. The cells will fall silent. But the island will remember. The ghosts of Rikers will outlast the fences. Rikers Island was supposed to be temporary. It became a century-long experiment in pain. The question now isn't whether it ends, but whether we learned anything from it. The daily grind. There's no rehabilitation at Rikers, only repetition. The same tasks, the same orders, the same fear. You don't serve time at Rikers. Time serves you. Every day blurs together, breakfast, chaos, lockdown, repeat. Some inmates mark time with notches. Others stop counting. The language of survival. Survival has its own dialect. Every phrase, every glance, every silence means something. Talk wrong and you disappear. Say nothing and you survive. Inmates use signals instead of words, a tap, a cough, a blink. Communication becomes currency, traded only when trust exists. The mirror effect. Rikers doesn't change people. It reflects them, until they can't tell which side of the bars they're on. The guard and the prisoner are two halves of the same broken mirror. The violence seeps both ways. Guards begin to act like inmates. Inmates begin to enforce their own laws. The system becomes self-aware, but never self-correcting. The blackout. Every few months, the lights go out literally. Power cuts turn the complex into a war zone. In the dark, everyone's an enemy. Officers retreat. Inmates rule. The silence afterward is worse than the screams. The forgotten graves. When inmates die with no family, they're buried here, on Hart Island, just miles from Rikers. Even in death, they don't leave the island. No names. No funerals. Just a number, a trench, and a date. It's called Potter's Field. New York calls it procedure. What you just saw is more than a story. It's a reality lived by thousands behind bars. If you believe in uncovering the truth, the kind hidden behind concrete walls and silence, then join us. Subscribe to Behind Bars TV and never miss a chapter in the world's most dangerous stories. Until next time, stay aware, stay informed, and remember, freedom and confinement are sometimes only a wall apart.